Alright guys, I'm back with my review of this week's episode of The Walking Dead, Season 3, Episode 6, Hounded. And I enjoyed this week's episode. I thought it had a lot of surprising stuff happen. The Merle stuff, Woodbury, I didn't see coming at all. So it was pretty good. And it starts off with Merle and some of the governor's men hunting Michonne in the woods. And they come across this message written in Walker parts that says, "Go back." And then Michonne pops out of the woods. She kills some of the governor's men with her sword, and Merle shoots her in the leg, and then she takes off back into the woods. And before they go after her, they actually stab the bodies of the dead guys. And they stab a decapitated head. And I thought this was pretty interesting because I didn't realize just a head could turn into a zombie, but I guess so. Back at the prison, Rick is talking to the person on the phone who called in last week's episode. And she won't say where she is, but she says it's a safe place. So Rick wants to go there. And she says she'll talk to the others and call back. So Rick checks in with the group, but he doesn't tell them about the phone call. And he goes back to wait by the phone, and a guy calls back, and Rick says he wants to join their group. The guy asks Rick how many people he's killed. He says 4. And he asks how his wife died. And at first he's a little shocked. How does he even know my wife is dead? But the guy explains, you said you had a son and a new baby. Of course you had a wife. And so Rick's like, okay. But he doesn't want to talk about it. So the guy hangs up the phone. Herschel goes to see Rick, and Rick tells him about the call, but he doesn't want Herschel to tell the others. And Herschel actually picks up the phone. And I was expecting him to say, "Rick, there's no dial tone on this phone. You're losing it, man." But he doesn't say anything. Because at this point I was thinking, are these calls in his head? Like, what's going on here? It was really strange. But yeah, he says that he's just going to wait by the phone. And back in Woodbury, Andrea tells the governor that she's a good shot and she wants to work on the wall. So she's on her first day on the job. She's working on the wall with this other girl who uses a bow and arrow, and they're talking about killing walkers, and a walker shows up. This girl fires a couple arrows, misses, so Andrea jumps off the wall, which is a big no-no in Woodbury, and she stabs the walker in the head with a knife. And the girl on the wall's pissed. She's like, "What the hell do you think you're doing? You never get off the wall. This isn't a game." So back with Michonne and Merle. Michonne attacks Merle again and the other guy. But a group of walkers show up during the fight. And Michonne disembowels one walker. And she gets all these zombie guts all over. And Merle and the other guy actually fight off the rest of the walkers. But when they look up, Michonne is gone. Andrea gets bitched out by the governor for going over the wall. So he says, "We don't need you there." So she's fired after her first day on the job. And then she turns around. I thought this was kind of random, but she says that she actually liked the zombie fight club. She knows it's barbaric, but she did like it. And I just thought this was a weird time to bring this up. And then the governor says he thinks that she also likes him too. This was all really strange. But the kid with Merle wants to go back after Michonne. And Merle says, "We're going to go back to Woodbury. We're going to tell the governor she's dead. She's injured. She's as good as dead. She's in the red zone." And the kid refuses to lie to the governor, so Merle shoots him in the head. We see the injured Michonne come across a group of walkers, but they ignore her since she's covered in zombie guts. She better hope that zombie blood doesn't get into that bullet wound, because that's pretty dangerous. Daryl tells Carl about how his mom used to drink and smoke in bed and she burned the house down. And Rick gets another call. It's a woman who says that he needs to talk about his wife. And she says, "You need to talk about your wife, Rick." And he says, "How do you know my name?" And I was like, oh shit, something's about to go down here. But then it's just like nobody talking, and he hangs up the phone. And Carl, Daryl, and the new guy, Axel, I think his name is, kill a walker with Carol's knife in its neck. Michonne sees Maggie and Glenn pull up to get supplies, and Merle shows up. He's got a gun, but then he sees it's Glenn, so he puts his gun down, and he's surprised to see him, but they still don't trust him. Glenn's still got his gun on him, and he's like, "Is my brother alive? Take me to Daryl, and we'll call it even." And Glenn says, "No, we'll tell Daryl you're here, you wait here, and we'll have him come meet you." So of course, Merle pulls out a gun, he tries to kill him, he takes Maggie hostage, and he makes Glenn drive them back to Woodbury. Michonne watches all of this. Andrea makes out with the governor. And then we see Rick get another phone call, and the people on the other line say that he's been talking to all the people who have died, all the people in the group who have passed away. So the calls were in his head. The governor and Andrea had sex, we see. Merle shows up, tells the governor that Michonne killed the men, and he tells the governor about Glenn and Maggie, and that he's going to find out where they're staying and find his brother. So the governor goes back in his room and has sex with Andrea again. And the last thing we see is Daryl finds Carol. She's still alive. I didn't think she was dead because it didn't show it, and she did escape. T-Dog sacrificed himself so that she could live. So he finds her, brings her back to camp, and Rick, who is acting better again, he's not all crazy, he's with the group, and he heads over to the fence and he sees all these walkers, and he sees Michonne. So that's how the episode ended. And I think the preview looks pretty good. I feel really bad for Glenn though, because you know it's not going to be good for him once he gets to Woodbury, and I really like him. I think he's one of the best characters in the group. A lot of the characters were really unlikable. At this point, all the really likable characters are still around. You have Daryl, Herschel I think's pretty likable, Glenn, Maggie, Lori was a pain in the ass though, and I didn't like Shane. So really you have the likable characters left in the group, and I really hope they don't kill Glenn off soon, because I do want him to stick around. He's always helping them out and stuff. But it looks like they're going to pick up Michonne soon too. So I think she's going to be joining them, and they're going to head to Woodbury to rescue the others. It's going to be a huge blow-off here. I mean, this is episode 6, and I have heard that they're only going to do 8 and then carry over the rest of the season next year like they did with season 2. So we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, pretty good episode this week, and things are really going to start heating up now with Maggie and Glenn being taken to Woodbury. So that's my review of this week's episode. I hope you guys liked this video. Leave your thoughts on this week's episode in the comments below, and thanks for watching.